In this video, I'm going to look at 3 myths about the development of world-class talent. Now, creating high performance is something like alchemy and comes with the same baggage of half-thoughts, assumptions, and quasi-quackery, but the research has moved on, and we can put to bed 3 powerful myths about building the world's best athlete. Those myths are: practice makes perfect, you have to be in a squad to make it, and the happy, contented athlete we should all admire. Okay, let's go. The first of these myths is linked to the idea that practice makes perfect. This message has been passed down through the generations as fact and is based on a simplified number, 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. But can it really be that easy? There's no question sports people have to practice and a lot. But how much is enough, and can we all make a world-class athlete if we just practice? The 10,000 hours rule came out of work by a psychologist called Anders Ericsson from Florida State University. Popularized in books such as Bounce by Matthew Syed and Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, it's led to the belief that if you put in this amount of deliberate practice, you can reach the top in any endeavor. But rather than needing 10,000 hours, there's now emerging evidence that as few as 4,400 hours is sufficient to reach elite level in field hockey. 4,500 hours may be enough to reach a top-tier national European football side, and as few as 4,000 hours may be enough to reach the highest levels of basketball and netball. Ericsson himself emphasized he did not intend a rule to be drawn from his research. He would no doubt have believed, though, that practice was more important than genetics, but would also no doubt have believed that to make it in basketball or rowing, way above average height and limb length would have been a clear advantage. And there's now intriguing evidence that genetics may underpin your propensity for a power or an endurance sport. And although we can't necessarily predict elite level athletes based on genetics, combinations of gene variants are likely to act in concert to predict the sport in which you are most likely to be successful. The second myth is that you must be in a sports development program to make it. Here I'd offer a cautionary tale to parents who feel compelled to drag their offspring the length and breadth of the country in the fear that that is the only route to the top. In fact, the sporting landscape is littered with those athletes who've relocated in pursuit of success but never to quite fulfill their potential, while at the same time halting opportunities for the development of skills for other areas of sport as well as, of course, the rest of their life. Although most world-class sports people have been in an athletic program at some point in their career, the evidence suggests a very non-linear path to the top. There's frequent selection and deselection from squads rather than a neat linear path. But here's the conundrum. Most junior athlete support programs base their criterion for selection on junior performance. Yet we know that junior performance does not reliably predict later adult success. Longitudinal studies with large numbers of athletes across numerous sports have pointed out that the earlier the recruitment onto an athlete support program, the earlier the exit from that program, and the higher the level of senior adult elite success, the later the recruitment to that program. In other words, the world's best performers are recruited onto athlete support programs significantly later than their less able counterparts. It's important to stress then that early athlete development programs are not the sole route to success. And further, the world's best sports people have often practiced more than one sport during their childhood and adolescence rather than just focusing on the one sport. In fact, the probability of attaining the highest levels of sport is probably based on coupling significant amounts of practice and training in the main sport with practice and training in multiple other sports. The third myth is the concept of the happy, contented athlete we should all admire. The world's best athletes are extraordinary, and we rightly marvel at their prowess and bask in their glory. Holding them up as role models to create a sporting and physical activity legacy is of course laudable. But with 307 golds available at the Rio 2016 Games for a worldwide population of 7.4 billion, world-class Olympic gold medal athletes are, by definition, abnormal. In fact, there is now growing evidence that the intense resilience, determination, and will to win at all costs is driven by something far different from happiness. At the very least, it takes a certain mindset to thrive in the brutal and tough world of elite sport. In fact, there is now emerging evidence that this intense need to win at all costs may be driven by adversity and obstacles. Thus, although this level of determination and commitment is something we might be in awe of, to think we should replicate it is potentially unrealistic, unnecessary, and damaging. The route to the top isn't as simple as neat pathways and accrued hours. It likely entails many ups and downs both within and outside of sport. We should beware a tendency to oversimplify past success, and in doing so, open up an appreciation for the myriad ways in which people can reach the top in elite sport.